This is Wake Up and Lead, a daily podcast where ambitious young professionals learn to lead themselves. I'm your host, Hampton Dorsch. Today, we're talking about our futures. You are allowed to quit your job. And the longer you wait, the harder it's going to be. The longer you wait, the tighter the golden handcuffs get. Because as you gain more responsibility, as your family grows, maybe you get married, maybe you have a kid, everything you do is a little bit riskier because you have more responsibility to take care of. And so right now is the best time to quit your job. Now, hear me out. The grass is not always greener on the other side. It's only greener where you water it. And so in your current job, if you are watering the grass and it is not growing, then maybe it's time to consider something else. I think a lot of times people are not watering the grass. And what do I mean by that? Are you making the most of it? Are you asking for learning opportunities? Are you solving problems? Are you just giving up because it's harder, because you don't like one person and you're not willing to address conflict with them? Maybe you have an absolutely terrible boss. I may do an episode on how to deal with that. But I think a lot of times we're just looking at the other side of the fence or what our friend is doing, when in reality, we're not maximizing the opportunity that we currently have. But I'm going to slightly shift topics here and share a story with you. Growing up, my dad was in medical sales and he was the best of the best at it. He did amazing. He provided for our family and just so grateful for what he did. But one of the things that I've learned lately about Generation X, I don't have data on this, but I'm very confident in it. Generation X is one of the smaller generations. They're in between the boomers and the millennials, which get a lot of attention. There was not a lot of entrepreneurship in Gen X. Those were people that were just taught to find a job and do it and stick with it and find a career path. And that's what my dad did. And it worked for him and he's loved it and he's done great. And now, as he's in his younger 50s, he still works for the same company, but he's taken a different job and is growing a ton. And it's so awesome to watch him do that. And so I love the path that he's on. I know he loves it too. However, he has given me opportunities to actually have the conversation I'm having with you right now. Praise God for that. Love Jeff Dorsch. He's the man. But growing up, I didn't know that I was allowed to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know I was allowed to start a business, which at this point in time, I'm not. Now, this is kind of my scratching the itch side hustle, if you will. I have a job at WildSpark, which I absolutely love. We do leadership development. So we're focusing on actually equipping managers. This, for me, is equipping the person likely before they're a manager, learning to lead yourself so that you can lead others. Always like to throw that in there. But I didn't know I could be an entrepreneur. I just thought you go to school and you get a job and you get a safe, career and everything like that. And one of the things I thought about was well, someone has to be the business owner. Someone has to be the CEO. Someone has to start the business. These people don't just appear. And if I'm looking around at my peers throughout my life, and I've often humbly been recognized as someone that is a leader and stands out in certain ways, I'm well, if I'm not even open to the idea of doing my own thing, then who's going to be? And I say that with absolute humility. But if you're listening to this, if you're an ambitious young professional, then you may be the kind of person that ends up being a founder or a business owner one day. And if you don't do it, ask yourself the question, who's going to? And so that was just something that I've been thinking about a lot. And I work for a startup, so I'm really getting to learn about starting a business and growing it and scaling it. And so I'm learning all that. And then I'm doing this on my own. And my wife is a wedding photographer. So I have a lot of entrepreneurial things in my life right now. But I just wanted to encourage the person listening that isn't really liking their job or kind of has that itch to maybe start something. There's so many different strategies for starting things on the side and then knowing when to jump ship and do your own thing. But I just wanted to free you up to say, hey, just because your parent said that you need to be an accountant because it's a very safe career path doesn't mean that you have to be an accountant if you don't love it. You are setting yourself up for years of misery if you're in a career path just because of the money. You've got to find something that you love, that gives you energy, that gives you life. And maybe that's starting something. And I just want to give you the freedom to do that. Also caveated by, the grass is not always greener on the other side. It's only greener where you water it. Hope that's helpful for somebody today. It's time for you and me to wake up and lead.